Welcome to BSR TV for the iRacing Skip Barber series, Season 4, Round 8 from Bathurst, with me, Chris Cohen, joined very shortly by Matt Dalton, as usual, here on a Monday evening. And we've got 20-minute qualifying session rather, followed by a 30-minute race here this evening from the Australian circuit, the notoriously difficult Australian circuit, which you see pictured on your screen right now. Should be an interesting one, especially after the shake-up from last week, where we saw championship leader up until this point, Wojciech Swirydowicz, losing out. We couldn't work out at the time why he needed to take that dive into the pits, but he picked up some damage and had to get a new car, and in the meantime it allowed all of his rivals to overtake him. Well, not all of them, but he's down to a lower position in the championship now, which is being led a very close margin by Townend, so we'll be having a look at that in a moment. Qualifying session is underway. We'll get over to the circuit very soon, but first a quick look at the championship standings, because like I said, after 7 rounds last time out from Road Atlanta, Townend is on top for Radicals Racing by just 1 point from Peck, and Peck will not be here for this race, or I believe the next 2 races either, so he's taking a little breather, but that will hurt his championship. He's not going to be able to stay with the top guys. Swirydowicz is down to 3rd position, closely followed by Mercer, but there's nothing to choose between those top 4. Only 8 points separate the top 4, and this is a 12 round championship, so this is the 8th round. We've only got 4 rounds to go. Swirydowicz' championship status has been pretty secure, I'd say, all the way through up until this round, and well, the last round at Road Atlanta, and that one single tiny piece of damage on the rear of his car means that he is now under threat from all of these guys. Simon Hulbert, who missed the Alton Park round because the session was full, missed out on some points there. That's why he's further back than he'd like to be for SS Racing in 5th place. Rob Green, GR Racing, is in 6th place, and then a big gap, another 34 points there, back to Paul Grillo, who's in 7th, Patterson 8th, Povey 9th, Peter Cowan is in 10th place. Phil Jocelyn takes 11th, Sam Everest a steady 12th place there. Tim Adcock, who, appropriately enough for his team name, Team Opposite Luck, hasn't had the best luck this season with offs and various other unavoidable collisions, is in 13th, Ridgway 14th, Kirchtort 15th, Richardson is in 16th place, Bobby Bramley, who's been away for a while now, is in 17th, George Lambert 18th, Grunhill 19th, and Jason McCurry shares 20th place with Stephen Hefford, but no room on the board. We're only going to round up the top 20 drivers because some of the lower drivers don't make it every week, and it's quite a big league. In fact, we'll have a nice big grid out on the circuit today. Just about time to look at the team standings very quickly after 7 rounds. GR Racing out on top, and that's just the 2 drivers. There's actually another GR team, so you'll see 4 drivers with the GR paint scheme, and only 2 of those are in the GR Racing team. We'll point those out to you when we get to the track. Purple Helmet Racing are in 2nd place, and in 3rd place Radicals Racing, only just from that SS Racing team of Simon Hulbert and Simon Povey. The top 4 teams really fighting it out with 4 rounds to go after today, and the others, there's quite a significant gap. SS Racing having double the points of the guys just below. No Grip Racing, Team Opposite Luck just behind, Pitlanes.com behind them, Ball Tire Racing pick up 8th place, Zobspeed Motorsport 9th, Team Castrol are down there in 10th position, and once again plenty more teams in the championship. We're only going to show you the top 10. So let's go over to the track and see how these guys are getting on, because the practice session was a very interesting one. We saw a very fast lap again from this man, who is Paul Grillo for Purple Helmet Racing. He was working together with his teammate Marc Mercer, and those guys using the draft. Obviously we've got some very long straights here at Bathurst, using the draft to great effect, and they managed to come out with some excellent times there. We've got about 15 minutes of the qualifying session left, so a fair amount of time, but not an overly long period, shall we say, especially if you have an off, because the laps here are about 2.5 minutes. So in that amount of time, you've got to, obviously it's a 2.5 minute out lap, and that's a significant delay if you manage to stack it on the way out there. As the other positions are going at the moment, Hulbert is on pole position. SS Racing with a 2:32.9. We have seen slightly better times during the practice session, so those times should come down, but not by an awful lot. We won't see times in the 2:20s. That's highly unlikely. Blake Townend, current championship leader in that 57 Radicals racing machine, is in second place. So he's about half a second off the pace, as Grillo takes the lead with a 2:32.4. So Hulbert second, Townend now down to third place. Kirchtort qualifying well at the moment with a fourth place. Let's bring up that lap time as well, and we'll have a look a little bit further down the field in a second as well. But Kirchtort and Townend, third and fourth place at the moment, forming that Radicals racing team. They've been a force to be reckoned with. Kirchtort not had the best luck this season. Townend, on the other hand, has made his own luck, really forcing his way to the front of the field in several... Oh, and a bit of an incident there. Kirchtort stopped in the middle of the track for some reason. Not quite sure why that is, and that's caused a collision. Never mind, everyone gets a new free car during qualifying, but like I said, the out lap can catch people out, because that's 2.5 minutes before you get back on the pace with a decent hot lap. We currently have 26 drivers in the session. Nice big grid here for a nice big track, a very challenging track, as we see Paul Grillo doing his thing. I'm interested to see if he can hold that pole position, because he's half a second quicker than Simon Hulbert's time at the moment, and Swirydowicz yet to set a really fast time. A lot of these drivers struggling. We would have expected Swirydowicz to be a lot further up at the moment on the board, but 7th position. Townend in the 2:31s, 2:31.8, takes the pole position, and there we go, Swirydowicz over the line, takes the 4th position. Let's see if we can go on board with Swirydowicz now and just go round this circuit. It's a very long circuit, especially for these cars which aren't the fastest in the world, and they're very challenging to drive around this circuit. So down the extremely long mountain straight, just passing one of the pit lane cars on the right hand side there. It's going to line the car up on the left hand side to come through quarry and start that climb up the mountain. Don't want to touch the curb on the inside, that's going to throw the car all over the place, but don't want to touch the curb too much on the outside either. Use as much as it can, keeps it out of the wall. Left-hander into the cutting and hard on the brakes. Don't want to turn the car too much while you're braking there. Careful on the power coming off that corner, because that's a steep uphill angle. And then through Griffin's Mount, the right-hander here. Coming up to the top of the mountain now. And then we've got the series of left-handers here. You'll be very careful to keep it off the curbs here. Another nice wide curb, and Swirydowicz has got a slower car in front of him. Oh, and very loose there, but keeps it together. Through Skyline now into the S's, and just look at this series of left-right corners that he's going to have to negotiate, and all kinds of camber, all kinds of angles, mostly downhill to varying degrees through this section, and then coming down into one of the most fearsome corners. We might see quite a few spinners here through the dipper. Down towards Conrod Straight now. This is the longest straight on the circuit. It's going to be going under that Jim Beam bridge. The cars won't rev out, but they will reach a very high speed here, and this is where the drafting comes into effect. Just about the 2-minute mark there. If you're on the 2-minute mark when you get to that second bridge there, you're doing extremely well. The right hand kink before the chase. Hard on the brakes, using that red paint on the right hand side as a braking marker. Keeps it off the curb quite well, and then Needs to keep the power down under the Armour All Bridge towards Murray's Corner, the final corner on the circuit. It's a 2:23 at the moment, so it's not going to be an extremely fast lap here from Swirydowicz, unfortunately. But that is a long lap, takes a lot of concentration to get around there. Very well done to any of these drivers who's going to be able to keep it on the track for the entire circuit and have no incidents, and that's what we're hoping for. Nice close racing, as many drivers staying in as possible. Sam Everest has gone into 5th position on the circuit, but just look at the gap between 1st and 10th, which is on your screen here, because it's well, it's just changed actually. It's 2.7 seconds now, and that's a huge gap, but we are talking about a 2.5 minute lap, so there is something in that. But 2.5 seconds between the fastest chap, Blake Townend, currently, who's improved his time slightly. It's a 2:31.7 now, and Podgany, who is taking 10th place at the moment, who's 2.7 seconds behind. But Everest pushed down to 6th place, but still won't be too disappointed with that, a 2:33.8. And if you can get in the 2:33s, you are doing extremely well at this circuit. But some of these top guys, don't forget, very well practiced in this car, and they're going to be very hard to beat out on the circuit. Coming a little bit further down the field, then we have Alan Patterson currently not set a time for Team No Grip. His teammate Paul Lee is absent this week as well. Stephen Hefford 17th place at the moment with a 2:36.8. He is one half of Team Castrol, and the other half of Team Castrol is absent this week. No sign of Dan Hunt this week. An independent entry here, Steve Richardson is on a 2:40.8. Not the fastest hot lapper, Richardson, but very consistent. So expect to see him pick up places just by virtue of other people making mistakes. Mistakes, I don't think, come into the equation for Richardson.
Well, they might do here.
They might well do, but I've got to say, Matt, welcome to the show, by the way.
Yeah, sorry I'm late.
Not a problem. Well, I've got to say, Steve Richardson's less likely to make mistakes than certain other drivers.
Yeah, he runs very consistently, Steve, and tends to pick places up by virtue of not making too many errors and by virtue of running a nice consistent pace, and that works for him. And some others tend to drive it like it's their last lap and as if their life depends on it, so that's why we love watching it.
Exactly, it was very exciting, and especially right at the front, because these guys, no love lost between these guys, but a lot of respect shown.
There is. There were some prams thrown from toys last week, and I've got that completely wrong. Toys thrown from prams. But still,
good start.
There was either way. They were all having, I know, and it start like you mean to go on. They were all having a bit of a row afterwards, but they seem to have decided to love it up, and apparently have even discussions of adopting children. So, a bit of rivalry never does anyone any harm whatsoever.
There were a few unfortunate incidents last week. Nothing too severe, nothing worth, like you say, throwing any prams out of toys about.
Yeah, you're not going to let that one go, are you?
No, not at all. Oh, Narris has lost it, and through goes Tim Adcock there, and he was enjoying the draft for a moment there on his outlap, but Townend with a 2:31.2. Now tell us about the times that you were driving in the practice session, Matt.
I think my best that I recorded was a 2:36.7, but I have managed to get a lot quicker than that. I have done a 34.5, so that would have put me 14th in practice.
And that's not a time to be sniffed at, 2:34 at all, but Townend 3 full seconds quicker than that, and it's just difficult to see where the time comes from sometimes.
No, yeah, it's crushingly depressing in a way, isn't it? It's a reminder of the difference between the alien and the mortals amongst us. I mean, we've said this every week that we've covered this now. The top 4 or 5 guys in this series are amongst the top 4 or 5 guys who run the Skippy anywhere, and you know, it's hardly a surprise to see them eking out more of an advantage, especially at a track like this. I mean, it's such a challenging course.
Absolutely, as we see Tim Adcock bounce over the final corner there to come over the line and start a hot lap. So let's stay with Adcock and see how he does for the moment. But Townend's obviously the favourite here, but look at that lap from Grillo. He's only a 10th behind at the moment.
Yeah, Paul's been showing some real form the last few weeks, hasn't he? And he's been getting better and better all the time. So I think perhaps we shouldn't be quite so surprised to see him at the top, to be honest.
And just mentioning Simon Hulbert as well, because he tends to be a late qualifier. Is that fair?
He certainly seems to come later than most.
And his teammate Povey is currently ahead of him 5th place to Hulbert's 6th, so he'll want to out-qualify his teammate, but always a strong finisher, Hulbert, as well. Yeah,
he does. He certainly seems to come good later in the sessions, and last week we, he immediately ruined our timing by we were just saying that he was not going to improve on his lap time, and he promptly did and stuck it up to 4th, didn't he? But
yes,
he's got some work to do, mind. I mean, he's had some bad results the last couple.
Yep, that's true.
Not had a clean run of things, has he?
He didn't get into the Alton Park session, which was the main problem, I think, because Alton Park's limited to 27 pits, and we had a very full week that week. Particular.
We did. I do apologise. I'm doing him a disservice there, I think, aren't I?
And Adcock pulling off the track. That's not the best lap from Adcock. 2:35.1 currently for Tim Adcock, then team opposite luck, 16th place. Just looking a little bit further down the field, we've got the likes of James Steele, who is pulling it over as well, and Rob Marshall. But Clark Williams is in 7th place at the moment, doing very well. It's a great time from him.
Yeah, it's a great time. Not a name that I remember. Is he a newbie as well, or is he a...
He's not someone we've seen regularly so far.
No. Some of these guys can just pop up and throw a time in and, get in the way of the likes of Kirstort and Sam Everest. And
well, one thing I will say is Grillo did that, didn't he, a few races back, and we said we were surprised to see him set such a good qualifying time. And then he went on and he's taken pole at Road Atlanta, and he was on pole like
was on pole at Donington as well. At Alton Park as well, wasn't he?
I was going to say Donington. When did that come along?
Next year.
Hopefully, but that's probably another story, isn't it?
I'm having a temporal shift moment.
So
I should say it's not my fault, to be fair. I got an awful lot of stick last week for eating some ice cream and cake whilst I was trying to do the commentary, so this week I've learned my lesson and I just got a cup of tea and a mince pie.
A mince pie? Well, still no word from Maynard's, by the way, about the wine gums, but I'd take a mince pie, yeah.
It's a co-op one. The budget's been much reduced, thanks to the unique way that VSR TV is funded.
Co-op mince pies, there's no expense spared here in the commentary box. Paul Grillo then, drafting currently with his teammate Marc Mercer. You can see Mercer's the blue car just behind there, and they'll be helping each other out. How much of a difference do you think the tow's going to make to your lap time here?
Again, it will help by a 10th or 2. It's Conrad is a massive straight, and these things will only really hit top end when they're in the draft. So,
well, we see these guys just coming through now to the latter part of the lap into the chase. Mercer's just dropped off the back there a little bit. Who's your favourite though for purple helmet? Is it Grillo or Mercer?
For the race? Mercer always seems to come good in the races, doesn't he? He's always been one of these guys who just, when it comes to the green flag, just seems to get his head into a better place and performs a little bit more consistently. Paul's shown plenty of speed the last few weeks, and as we said, he's had a couple of pole positions, but he hasn't quite turned that into race results. So,
and it's consistency, isn't it? It's one thing to be able to set a really fast lap time, and it's another thing altogether to be able to set a pretty fast lap time all the way through the race.
Yeah, and this is, as we said, I mean, I've been looking forward to this all week. I've literally been bursting at the seams. Bathurst is just an epic track, but it's so technical and so challenging to run a good hard pace consistently on it, that these guys really, I think you're going to see a lot of incidents tonight, and it's going to also separate the hardcore from the rest, because I think the ability to run flat out lap after lap here is more challenging than anywhere else, I would say, by some margin.
But there's a nice breather, isn't there, once you get off the mountain and you get down Conroy and have that whole straight to yourself, but every single time you've got to come back up that mountain, and it's going to be half an hour race, so 2.5 minute laps. There's probably going to be enough time for about 12 or 13 laps.
Yeah, they might get 13 laps in.
Oh, we'll get confirmation
No,
for that.
it's 8 laps, isn't it? 8 lap race.
Is it just 8?
8, yeah.
Okay, so that's an... Oh, Povey's off into the barrier, and that's going to end his qualifying session. That's seems to be a lot shorter.
It's a long lap here, mind. It's a, you know, it's a 2.5 minute lap, so 8 laps, 2.5 minutes is something that somebody who's much better than me at maths will be able to work out very quickly.
Well, that's about 20 minutes, but yeah, I thought we normally race for half an hour, do we not?
Yes.
So we might have lost 10 minutes there, but never mind. We'll get confirmation for you in just a moment on that one anyway. But meanwhile,
10 minutes with me trying to work out something in my head.
Well, the race will be over by the time you work that out. No offense, but Townend will be thrilled with that, won't he? 2:30.9. So only drivers to break into the 2:30s so far. Swirydowicz is 4th.
Lap, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I just can't understand where this pace is coming from. And Mercer just moves into 4th to nick that spot from Swirydowicz. So Swirydowicz is down to 5th. He won't be happy with that, especially after his result last week. No.
Paul Grillo may need a quick visit to the medical tent before he starts the race after that, but yeah, that's just mind-bendingly fast. I mean, that really is. That's like having a turbocharger on the car when no one else has got one, isn't it?
It really is.
It's incredible, that.
So, looks like it's going to be Townend from Grillo, Hulbert, Mercer, Swirydowicz. Oh, and a bit of a brake failure from Paul Grillo. We're just watching that one on the replay there, and yeah, that was a little bit nasty. Swirydowicz then coming round to round out his final qualifying lap, because the session's now over and we're just waiting for those drivers who are still on their lap to finish off. 2:31.8. Is that correct?
2:31.3. Hulbert's gone up to 3rd. He's done his old trick again.
Hulbert, right at the dying light of the qualifying session, has managed to come away with a fantastic qualifying time there, hasn't he? Absolutely brilliant.
We did say he might do that, didn't we? We had a sneaky suspicion he might arrive to the party a little bit later on.
He always seems to do it, but
king of the last dash.
You can see why Townend's on, well, in the lead of the championship with a qualifying session like that. And who knows, Grillo needs to keep it in check, doesn't he? He needs to keep that consistent pace going the entire race. Finish this time. Not to say he never finishes, but sometimes loses out during the race. So it'll be interesting to see how well he can do there amongst the more consistent drivers around him. Hulbert just behind him on the grid, Swirydowicz behind him on the grid, Kirchtorp managing 6th, so good qualifying from Kirchtorp.
Yep, that's a good result for Andy.
And Clark Williams, 8th place, very well done to him. Cowan starting 9th, Everest 10th.
Yep, Peter Cowan, who's mentioned he may be around to join us for a quick chat later on as well, so it'll be interesting to see how he gets on.
Definitely.
I can't wait for this. I've been excited. Literally, I've been excited about this all week. I mean, this is probably my favourite track in the whole service. It's not a track that I like to race on. It's more one that I like to just do hot laps on, because to try and, as I said, to try and string 6 or 7 quick laps together here is just, it's such a challenge. It's brilliant.
And this one's not been on the service for too long. Anyone not familiar with iRacing will not know that this has just been released, effectively. How long has it been out now?
About 2 months now, isn't it? I think just coming up that sort of time.
Yeah, something like that, probably.
It's such an iconic track, though, isn't it? I mean, anybody who knows anything about racing will know Bathurst. I mean, Mount Panorama is, you know.
Yeah, famous track from Australia. As the drivers just form up on the grid here, the driver on the inside on the right is Blake Townend in that red and black machine. Grillo is on the left as the lights come on for round 8 at Bathurst. And Hulbert just behind. Watch for a quick start from Hulbert coming up. We're ready to go racing in the Skip Barber series. The lights turn green. And
here we go, we're on our way to Hell Corner.
So Townend keeping that inside line. Hulbert's moved over to the right, and all the drivers kind of trying to go for that outside line there. This is 30 or 26 drivers to get through there. Everyone looks to be okay so far. Yeah, good start from everybody. Everyone's through there. Very impressed with the starting in this series. No major incidents on the first corner normally. Townend then has it around turn 2 from Grillo, and Hulbert third, so it's all as it was in the qualifying from the grid. So Hulbert making a move now, looking down the outside of Grillo. Don't think he'll be able to do anything there, but
no, he won't be able to take up here.
It's going to be single file through the mountain, surely.
Yeah, it is, and this is where the danger is on the first lap. If anybody has an incident up here, then everybody's going to get caught up in it.
And we'll just keep an eye on the rest of the field as well, because we want to make sure everyone gets up that mountain just okay. It seems to be fairly good so far as the cars all file through. We've got no major incidents here. So yeah, it's all well kept in check. All these drivers doing their best, because we got 8 laps to survive here, so no point sticking it in the wall in a risky move on the first lap.
Somebody stuck one in the wall there at the back.
Who's that? That's Hefford, is it? Hefford is off. See if we can go back to that one very quickly and see what happened to Stephen Hefford.
Yeah, it was Stephen Hefford.
So just coming up the mountain. And we're just looking at this on the replay now. He's oh dear, gets it a little bit wide on one of those fast left-handers, and the car just kind of sticks to the wall. So that's actually quite a good thing, really, because it could have easily been carnage there with all the cars behind.
Yeah, and they did a good job of avoiding him. But this is the thing with this track, you know, you make one mistake, you put one wheel even half an inch at a line up there at the top of that mountain, and you are in deep trouble. Paul Grillo hanging on to the back of Blake Townend really well. Yeah, these two look like they're going to try and make a bit of a run for it. And
just behind them, Simon Hulbert, SS Racing in that purple machine. Swirydowicz 4th, Mercer 5th, Kirchtort is in 6th place, and this is pretty much the grid position, isn't it?
Yep, so line astern at the moment, and that's perhaps sensible. As I said, this is a difficult track, so these guys will, you know, want to get a couple of laps in before they start the usual craziness.
Through Hell corner for the second time then, down mountain straight on the way to the ascent of the mountain for the second time. The drivers have had their breather for that particular lap, and Kirchtort's now just falling off the back of Mercer very slightly. That's the blue car of Marc Mercer just up ahead in 5th position.
Is that Swirydowicz in 4th?
Yes, and Swirydowicz is under threat from Mercer, it looks like.
Yeah, so he's got some work to do. He had a bad result last time at Road Atlanta with a bit of a strange incident at the start, and he's got a bit of a point to prove this weekend.
Yes, but he's going to have to try and prove it a little bit harder, because Kirchtort has now caught back up with these guys, and Mercer will be looking for a way around, though hopefully not on the mountain. Is there anywhere on the mountain you can safely overtake?
No, probably not. I think possibly into Forest Elbow. If you get a really good run, you may be able to make a move there.
And I guess it's about how much you trust the guy ahead not to make a mistake, because that could well take your race out if you're very close behind as well.
Yeah, we see him just coming over Skyline and then down towards the dipper here, and this is like such a difficult section. You come through the dipper and it just wants to pull the car around and make it oversteer off into the wall. So,
well, everyone at the front doing okay so far. We've lost Luke Ridgway, although he might well have been a non-starter. I'm not sure if he's crashed out or if he didn't start. It'll be interesting to find out. But now in the draft, will Grillo go for the overtake, or do you think he's quite happy to sit behind Townend for the moment?
No, I think he'll go for it.
And yeah, you're right, he's down the inside.
Into the chase.
Almost off on the grass as well.
Yeah, not usually you want to be a side by side there into the chase. That's brave.
And the switchback from Townend, but it wasn't enough. Hulbert, meanwhile, is lining these guys up. He knows that all the time they're fighting, they're giving up time. Look how close Townend is on the back of
I think he touched him there. I think he touched him there. It looks like he's got a little bit of front wing damage.
Down the inside then, Townend riding on board now, just gives Grillo the squeeze, and he's off onto the grass. Wow.
I think that's it. I think that's Grillo out. That was a very hard contact. I'll be amazed if he hasn't picked up some significant damage after that.
Well, let's have another look, because we're watching on the replay here. We saw it from on board. Just a little kiss there from
he's
Townend.
And Grillo's hit the wall coming out of Hell Corner as well.
Townend down the inside, late on the brakes, and doesn't give Grillo any room at all. So Grillo's had to go off there, and yeah, well, it was avoiding action really from Grillo. And wow, what do you make of that, Matt?
Well, it was an aggressive overtake, but Blake had the corner. He had his line. I think Paul possibly just got in a bit too hot, trying to keep hold of the outside line there. Probably should just given that one up.
Well, it's early days yet, isn't it? It's too early to call the race, so I was looking forward to a bit of toing and throwing, to be honest, but hopefully we'll get that from Hulbert and from Blake now. So Townend leads from Hulbert, and Grillo is in the pits for a new car. Yeah,
he's going to have to sit this one out for a little while.
Of course, having missed a pit entry, the tow is going to be around the entire track.
He's disconnected from the session, so that's Paul is done for this week. It's a shame there. He started well, was running well.
Yeah, and it was just that consistency thing, wasn't it? Although, you know, it was an aggressive overtake. We're not here to point fingers on the commentary, but oh, and Hulbert sideways into the barrier
as well.
Just come back to Grillo, but that's just about
great
keeps
job,
it out of the way.
That's a great job from Marc Mercer to avoid him there. That would have been, well, I guarantee you he's going to need a change of underwear.
Well, we'll just have another look at that on the replay. Because Hulbert is just sideways coming out of, well, he's coming through the S's there, and there's just no way. When the car flicks back, it's out of control. He's off into the barriers, and Swirydowicz gets through. Yeah,
there's nothing Simon Hulbert could have done there once he got out of shape. He was a complete passenger in that, but
how did Marc Mercer stay out of that one? Look at that.
No idea. Change of underwear.
And Kirchtort as well manages to get out of the way, and Hulbert brings the car to a stop in the end. But yeah, you're right, that's a bit of a shame for Simon Hulbert, and that's going to do his championship a lot of harm.
We said that with this track, mind. This is, this place is really, really tough. It's an amazing track to drive around. It's, brilliant fun, but it will bite your head off at any given moment quite happily.
And Mercer now right on the tail of Swirydowicz, so Swirydowicz up to second place by virtue of 2 crashes up ahead of him. Kirchtort's still going well though. I mean, he's up to 4th.
Yeah, he's running quite nice, quite consistently, and I think he'll be fairly happy with where he is at the minute.
And is Mercer going to take this opportunity? Yes, he is. He pulls out down Mountain Straight, looking for the overtake. I don't think Swirydowicz is going to put up a fight here. Mercer's got this one in the bag.
No, I think if anything, the tow means more on Mountain Straight than it does going down Conrod. I think the fact that it's uphill and these cars are slightly underpowered, if anything, it makes more of a difference there.
Well, let's take a look at how the rest of the field are doing, because Peter Cowan is in 6th position, doing well.
That's a great run.
Clark Williams 7th. Everest in that bright green machine is in 8th, and there's a battle going on between Goodwin and Podgany. So Podgany's 10th from Goodwin. Well, Goodwin's just ahead in 9th there. Steele is in 11th, and there's a bit of a battle going on. Simon Field, who's changed the colour of his car, new livery on that car, he's under threat from Alan Patterson.
Andy Kay just had a massive moment going through up towards McPhillamy there. He got really sideways.
Well, we'll just have a quick look at that on the replay while we've got the opportunity. As he's in 4th place at the moment, and that's 2 Radicals racing drivers in the top 4, and just gets on the curb there. Wow, did well to control that.
Yeah, he held that well, didn't he?
So that's another almost incident there. As we come back down the field then, Scott Malcolm running in a very impressive 14th position at the moment. He's in some clear air, he's 10 seconds behind Patterson. And Rob Marshall is 15th.
Good drive for Scott. He's not a regular in this series either, so
nope.
It's a tricky little car, the Skip Barber. It's misleading. You'd think it'd be an easy one to drive, but because it's lightweight and street tyres, it does tend to swirl and wriggle around quite a lot.
Especially on the mountain. I mean, it's very difficult to control.
Yeah.
There's no tyre options on this car, and minimal setup options really, so it's all about just keeping the car under control through your own merit, which is why this championship really is a test of driver skill rather than a test of who can download the best setup.
Absolutely. I mean, all you get to change on these cars is tyre pressures, the rear anti-roll bar, sort of spring perch on the front wheels, and that's about it.
And I'm slightly confused that we're only doing 8 laps here. I would have thought it would have been more like 12 or 13. Mercer, meanwhile, has been given the jump by Swirydowicz, who's back into second place. But again, down Mountain Straight here, it's going to be Mercer's game. Swirydowicz is trying to defend this time, but probably won't get the chance to do it, will he? Because he's going to have to tuck in behind Marc Mercer.
Yeah, all of which is great news for Blake, who is giving an absolute masterclass at the front here. He is giving these boys a proper schooling, isn't he?
He is 3 seconds ahead of Marc Mercer in second place. So while Mercer and Swirydowicz fight it out, I don't think anyone really thinks they can get 3 seconds from Blake Townend in 3.5 laps.
No, I mean, you know, as much as we say Blake is taking them all to school, at the same time, this track has already shown you lose concentration for 1 second and it'll rip your head clean off. So it's by no means over, and again, from the last few weeks of watching these guys at various tracks, we should learn not to be so so daring as to make a prediction. I wouldn't even be surprised to see Martin Peck rock up and finish third, even though he hasn't actually started the race. He isn't even in yet.
Yeah, well, we mentioned before about Peck. He's not able to make the race this time round or for the next few weeks. So, second place man in the championship is going to be losing a lot of points there. As we just see just how hard the suspension works from the back of Marc Mercer's car as they're coming through down to Conrod rather. This is the longest straight on the track, so a little bit of a breather for the guys now, but Mercer's going to have an eye on his mirror, isn't he? Because Swirydowicz will probably want that place back.
Yep.
Mercer's still defensive.
Simon Helbert's out and running again. He's up to 19th place, so he's going to be on a bit of a mission to try and recover some points.
Mercer can't defend then, so Swirydowicz back up into second place. These guys will probably continue to swap down the straights. Oh, Mercer just taking a lot of grass there, but gets away with it. And Povey is being chased down now by Kirchtorp, who's lost the place to Povey. So Povey slipped past Andy Kirchtorp, but Kirchtorp hasn't given up here. He's just half a second behind. And Clark Williams has jumped a whole load of people. He's up into 6th place, and that's Cowan just behind and Everest. So this is the hottest battle on the track at the moment between these 3 guys.
Yeah, that's a great little dice they've got going there.
Just want to keep it clean through Hell's Corner. Just not really a chance to overtake, but you need a good exit.
You do. I mean, it's such an important corner because it runs onto this uphill straight, and as we said, there's not really any power in these cars to make up a momentum deficit. I mean, you can see there, you know, the position's almost indefensible. Peter Cowan's going to get a massive run at the two of them, yeah?
And Cowan is down the inside here, so we're on board with Everest, the back driver out of these 3. And that is Williams just up ahead, and Cowan takes it. So Cowan's back up to 6th. Everest, meanwhile, will not let go of these 2, but we're probably through with the overtaking until we get around the mountain, so it's all about holding on, surviving as long as possible. Don't make a mistake.
Wojciech and Marc Mercer, you might have pulled a bit of time out of Blake Townend here. They're back within 3 seconds again.
And with 3 laps left, it's going to have to be a second a lap, isn't it? And then time to overtake.
No, it's not going to happen, is it? Oh, Marc Mercer's had a massive moment coming up the sky.
Well, Marc Mercer's still going. And he's only given up about a second. So not too bad, but might have given up the chance to take that second place back. Oh, just coming through the dipper now with Sam Everest behind these guys, and just look how hard it is to control the car through here. And Everest playing it safe, probably for the best, but these 2 guys up in front are still going at it, hammer and tongs.
Yep.
Cowan through into 5th, and who's that off? Is that Kirchtorp? Oh no, we've lost Andy Kirchtorp. So he gets the car turned around. Oh, and he's in the wall. That was not the best place to turn the car around.
We've got got into the wall coming through Forest Elbow himself.
So Kirchtorp, just on the replay here, just turns it round, and yeah, he's facing backwards. And well, Kirchtorp doesn't try and slow the car down. Was that deliberate? Do you think he wanted to try and get the car out of the way as he's rolling backwards down there?
It's possible he was trying to get out of the way, yeah.
And unfortunately couldn't get the car spun around on that steep gradient, and it's done a lot of damage to that car. So he was running so well, wasn't he? And it's a shame, real shame, but he's only down to 9th,
Yeah.
still running. Probably going to take a pit stop there.
Yeah, a much better week so far, hadn't he? But
oh, and you were saying about Swirydowicz as well.
Swirydowicz did. He, coming through Forest Elbow on the last lap, he did get a little bit wide and just caught the wall with his right rear, but it doesn't seem to have slowed him down, so I think he's got away with that one.
And he's now got a 1.3 second advantage over trailing Marc Mercer, who's starting to fade a little bit with 2 laps left. You can just see Townend at the front of your picture there. He is still skirting that 3 second mark. And you can just see the top guys. We've got that iRacing on your screen there, 5,600 for Swirydowicz. That's something to be reckoned with.
He's not rubbish, is he?
No. Well, he's faster than I am. Doesn't narrow it down much, but he's faster than I am. Povey then
you've
up
got
to
Blake as well. Is the guy is not just blazingly fast on road circuits. He's also a very, very quick oval guy as well. So talent in. I think it's that much talent that it's irritating for the rest of us, shall we say.
And he's coming down the mountain for the penultimate time now. Just look how close he's getting that car to the wall. A flawless drive so far without wanting to put the curse on him for Blake Townend. We've lost Grillo. Peck didn't start. We've lost Hulbert.
Big race for the title, this one, isn't it, you think? You've got to get the feeling this one's going to matter a lot. And, I think it's probably fair to say the guys are racing the track as much as each other today.
Kirchtorp then is back out on track with a new car, but down to 13th position. Still in the points. I mean, we've lost a few people. Steve Barker's out, Phil Jocelyn is out, Stephen Hefford's out, Luke Ridgway is out, and Marcus Narris is out, as well as Grillo that we've already talked about there. So only 20 cars still running, although it's good that they're all still running at the moment.
Impressive that how many are still running, actually.
A really close battle going on here for 17th place. That's Ellis Stevens at the front of that battle, Steve Richardson in the middle, and Ken Bracey just at the back here. This could go any way at all as the leader Blake Townend comes onto the last lap. Barring a mistake, this is Blake Townend's race. Swirydowicz second, Mercer third, dropped even further back. But Cowan now on the back of... and we just see Bracey's not going to try that down the mountain. But we see Cowan... Oh, he's just lost a little bit of time there.
He may try it down the mountain when he comes, but I'm not sure.
And we're just seeing Peter Cowan trying to take that 5th place back. It's now 5th place rather than 6th, of course, because we've lost Kirchtorp from the leading pack.
Front 3 have split up a little bit, haven't they? Good to see Simon Povey in 4th. Good weekend for him. He's done quite well tonight, hasn't he?
He has done very well, and he'll be pleased to outfinish his teammate Simon Holder, because it's normally the other way round, but never good to see your teammate off into the barrier.
I know, it's rule number 1 of motorsport, isn't it? The first person you have to beat is your teammate.
Definitely. Cowan coming up the hill. He's in the stronger position, even though he's behind at the moment. He's behind Clark Williams. You have to say that he's in the stronger position because he's going to have the draft down Conrod Straight.
Yeah, I think if you were going on to the last lap, you'd want to be close coming out of Forest Elbow and then have the run down Conrod, wouldn't you?
I think so.
Prime position to be in, yep.
Well, just wants to keep it together. That's really slippery through there. Cowan coming through the dipper now. Gets a lot of curb through there, a lot more than Clark Williams, who loses some time there. Cowan not trying to overtake here, just wants to stay on the back of Clark Williams. He's still got Sam Everest behind, but not close enough to mount a serious challenge. And we'll come back to those guys.
Yeah, it's all about that corner, Forest Elbow. He needed to get a good run out there, and I'm not sure he's close enough.
He might well not be. This is his last chance now to take that 5th position. As Townend just rounding out the last few corners now.
What a drive from Blake.
Well, you can't have fewer mistakes than that. He's not put a foot wrong.
Nope.
There was a controversial moment with Paul Grillo. Could have gone either way. Not passing judgment on that one at all. will stay out of trouble in the commentary box as he comes over the line now to take another victory in this series. Great job for Townend to keep it on the track.
He's taking a firm grip on it, isn't he?
That's Swirydowicz second, Mercer third, Povey fourth, actually finishing quite quick. And you're right, Peter Cowan was too far back, couldn't get round in the draft in the end, so Clark Williams is slowing down. They're side by side, but Williams will take it.
Has he picked up a penalty? I wonder if he'd picked up a slowdown penalty for the last goal. A great little battle with James Steele and Simon Field, yeah? This one's going to go right to the end.
That's James Steele just up ahead in 9th place. Field will be looking for a way around. Look at the bent rear wing on James Steele's car. I wonder if they might have some contact already. Field's around the outside, but he won't make this one work. Oh, and he's spinned it on the last corner. Oh, what a shame. What a shame for Field. Could have just held on, but tried to go around the outside, and it just wasn't the right line for him on that particular occasion.
Interesting thing, Andy Kay seems to have, within his incident earlier on, he's actually saying that his wheel came off the desk and fell into his lap, so he was having to try and run the end of the race with it, holding the wheel between his knees.
Wow, well, if that's true, and he's still running 231.9s with a wheel on his lap, no point having a desk mount, really, is there? You don't need a desk mount. Just hold the wheel in midair.
It makes me wonder why I spent all the money on the rig that I've got myself.
So the results on your screen after only 8 laps at Bathurst. It'd be interesting to speak to the organisers on this one and try and figure out exactly why we were 10 minutes shorter than usual on the racing. But it's probably enough for these drivers, isn't it?
I think round there it's a challenging track, and I think it takes a lot more out of you than some places. I mean, you say you really only get a break going down Comrade Straight. Apart from that, every corner matters.
Well, let's see if we can get a quick word with 6th place finisher Mr. Peter Cowan, who did such a good job during that race. Fantastic battle with Clark Williams as well. Are you there, Pete?
I'm here, can you hear me?
Yes, welcome to BSR TV. Thanks for joining us. You had such a good battle with Clark Williams all the way through that race, but a little bit disappointed at the end there. Perhaps you weren't quite close enough for the draft down the final straight?
Yeah, well, I made a little mistake coming down the Forest Elbow, and that just put me far enough back that I couldn't quite pick up a good enough draft. But it's close, but not close enough.
Just how tough is this on drivers going around this track? Would you have wanted to do much more than 8 laps?
No, I'm a bit of a sweaty mess right now, but my plan was all the way along just to try and benefit from other people's attrition. And I think I've done just that. I didn't have the pace to challenge up front, so I'm quite happy.
A good haul of points for you as well, which is going to move you up in the championship, no doubt. But you're just outside some of the leaders. But we saw some big names fall, Hulbert and Grillo, for example. Could have happened to any of you, though, really, couldn't it? But how difficult was it to keep things in check for 8 laps?
Well, I think, judging by the names that went by the wayside, I think it proved that it's no piece of cake. So yeah, as I say, I'm happily take their places from them.
And what's your realistic expectation for the championship with 4 rounds to go?
Well, I missed the first 3 or 4 rounds because I didn't really know about this championship, but I think I've proved that I can finish in the latter half of the top 10 regularly. So I think that's going to provide me a pretty solid base going forward.
Well, thanks for joining us, Pete. That's great to speak to you, and best of luck for the remaining rounds.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, so, great result.
That's Peter Cowan there. He's an independent driver, actually, I think, is he?
He is, yep.
Yeah, so not a team man, but I know that some of these guys are looking for teams.
That's true. I'm just having a look at this incident earlier on with Paul Grillo and Blake Townend, and
what conclusions have you drawn?
Yeah, but well, Blake's made quite a late move, and Paul's turned in not knowing he's there, and I think there's actually contact with Paul's left front and Blake's right rear, and that's what's put Paul into the wall. So, Steward's inquiry will be an interesting place to be, I think.
Just wondering if we might be able to get a place with a quick word with Simon Field, who we saw have that dramatic last corner spin. Simon, are you there?
I am indeed, yeah.
You were doing so well, a fantastic race up until that point, and it must be quite disappointing to lose it on the last corner.
Yeah, well, truth be told, I had a spin on the second or third lap at Forest Elbow, and that dropped me 3 or 4 places, and then that battle turned out to be good fun, and it's a shame, James did well and the other guys, and I threw it off the road. So.
And what was the intention there? Because you were around the outside on the final corner. Was it? Do you think you can make the move on the outside, or was it just more a case of putting James off?
Well, he was covering the inside, so it was try the outside or just sit and live with it. So I thought I might as well have a go, and just got in a bit deep, locked the rears, and that was the end of it. I'm just glad I didn't take the other pair out behind us.
That's true, but 4 rounds to go. Bathurst, is that one of your favourite tracks, or are you kind of glad to be leaving now?
Oh yeah, it's always one of my favourites. I'll run that in anything it's fantastic fun. So.
It's a high pressure circuit though, definitely. We saw some big names fall by the wayside tonight.
Well, that's the thing, you don't have a lot of room, you make a mistake, chances are you're going to end up in the wall, so it's all about how much risk you're willing to take.
And then championship wise, with the 4 rounds to go, hoping to move up even further?
I'm mid-grid in this car, I do struggle with it, so I'm just in this for the fun, if I can make up a couple of places, great, but I'm not too worried, as long as the races are good fun, that's the main thing for me.
Brilliant, well thanks for joining us, Simon, best of luck for the rest of the championship.
Yeah, cheers, Simon.
You're welcome, cheers buddy.
That's Simon Field there, who we saw dramatically spin off on the final corner. Doesn't seem to be too bothered about that though.
No, I think he just enjoys his racing, Simon. He's always good enough to give us a couple of words at the end of lots of races. That said, as much as we love him, it would be nice to get a few more of these guys in, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. So if you are watching later on YouTube and you are one of the drivers in this championship that hasn't yet braved it onto the chat server so we can have a quick word with you, do check out the details. We'd like to get some of the other guys in, speak to a good range of people here on BSR TV, so do bear that in mind. It's worth bearing in mind as well that the British Touring Car Championship is back in action on Boxing Day this evening, and that's going to be from... I don't even know where it's from. Help me out here, Matt.
I'd love to.
It's going to be from a circuit on the iRacing service. That's terrible. I shouldn't have even mentioned it,
from
should I?
somewhere.
Join us Thursday anyway, Boxing Day, from 8 PM, where we'll have all the action there as well. Joined now by Andy Kirchtort himself, who had a wheel incident, I believe, in this race.
Yeah, pretty bad really. My wheel came loose, and I tried to sort it for about half a lap, and then it clearly just came off the table and onto my lap. And trying to drive that for about half a minute, that was it. Bang, hit the wall.
So starting from the beginning, Andy, it was a very good qualifying session for you. Did you expect to qualify that high?
Yeah, I did really. Last race we did as UK and I had the pole, so I expected to be somewhere close.
And then a very good race from there. But was it the actual act of the wheel falling off the table that caused the spin?
Yeah, I was currently trying to steer with my knees pretty much as I tried to use the pedals and fix the wheel back on with my hands, but obviously couldn't do it. It was just as soon as I got a little bit loose, that was it. I had no control. A bit frustrating really. 4th to 13th. Yeah,
it must be very frustrating as well, because some of the top drivers there are obviously suffering spins and other incidents on the track too. You would have been on for 4th. Do you feel, if you hadn't lost the wheel?
Yeah, pretty much. I was just sitting behind 2nd and 3rd. I knew they were a lot quicker than I was, so as long as I could just keep in their draft and they kept battling, Simon Povey was too far behind to cause any problems. But as soon as I got a loose wheel, I basically lost the draft trying to fix it.
Well, it is a big shame for you, but 4 rounds left. How are you looking to approach those last 4 rounds of the championship?
Finishing the races, I think, after the last few rounds.
Tightening up the wheel clamps, maybe?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, Blake did really well. I just needed to make sure I got some sort of points, irrespective of where I finished.
Well, wish you the best of luck for the last 4 rounds. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Andy.
No, thanks a lot.
That's Andy Kirchtort there for Radicals Racing.
He'd be off to home base now, wouldn't he, for some bolts? Yeah,
well, it's surprising. I've had it before, but it it is quite rare, but there's a lot more wheel action here than on some circuits because of that mountain section, isn't there? It kind of it's a lot more demanding, especially if you're one of those drivers that runs a force feedback quite strongly. It's easy to pull the wheel off the desk if you haven't got a sort of super expensive racing rig.
Yeah, you need to bolt these things down. I mean, some of these things these days can produce quite a lot of power, so it's definitely something you need to have nailed into place as opposed to clamped, I think. But that's one way to find that lesson out, isn't it?
Well, that's very true, and that
Good
is
of Andy to come on here and have a chat with us, though.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with the number of drivers willing to speak to us this evening, which is always very nice to get some feedback from those who have been in the race, rather than very easy to sit on our pedestal, isn't it, and talk about how people are making all these mistakes and we're not actually doing it ourselves. Well, you were doing it yourselves in the practice, I suppose, weren't you? But
I'd had a quick run round in practice. Yeah, I just like to get a feel of what's going on and see what's going on and see how the track feels.
So the British Touring Car Championship, like we said, will be back on Boxing Day here on BSR TV, 26th. That's about 8 PM on Boxing Day, as I said. And Monday next week will be the next round of the iRacing Skip Barber series. Blake, favourite for the championship, Matt? Do you think?
He's going to take some stopping now, isn't he? He seems to be hitting top gear. He maybe had a couple of weeks to find his feet and get back into the swing of things, but now he's into his stride. He certainly seems to take some beating.
Well, that's about it here on BSR TV from Mount Panorama in the iRacing Skip Barber series. Thanks very much for joining us. Hope to see you next time.